All right, today I've got Andy Martinec of Tangle Foot Brewery, formerly, who's now doing something new. So he came in to talk about it. We got to know each other through an entrepreneurship group here in Austin, and he humbly agreed to come talk with me in my home studio. So let's go ahead and kick this off. You ready? I'm not planning to do like an
intro
studio podcast session right now.
The ultimate product that I want to achieve is a shelf-stable 5-ounce piece of lean chicken breast, seasoned, of course, it's going to taste good, that is able to remain at room temperature.
The brewery thing, though, is still an interesting backstory. When did you first get into beer?
So I was living in Arizona at the time. I moved out to Arizona. I just kind of randomly moved out there for a year, but I was working in the culinary field. So I went to culinary school for pastry.
Did you really?
Mm-hmm.
Culinary school?
Yep.
See, I didn't know that. And you said earlier you love food.
Yeah. Yeah. So
where was that?
Here, well, I went to school here in Austin, in the Domain. There's a Le Cordon Bleu there. First time I moved to Austin, I moved here for culinary school in 2008. And then I moved away to Arizona in 2010, got a job out there working as a pastry cook. And I was 20 at the time, had a coworker that was like a home brewer and into beer and stuff. And so he would bring in some of his home brews, and then we would do beer pairings at the restaurant, and just kind of like fell in love with beer. It was like underage, so I couldn't buy it. And so I had my roommate buy me beers and shit. And then I turned 21 and just like went apeshit and drank all the beers, like tried every single beer that I could get my hands on. Spent all the little money that I had, all went to beer and drinking excessively, obviously. And so I got really, really hard into beer.
21-year-old, but with like a culinary flash too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gourmet.
So, and to go backwards a little bit, I started home brewing when I was 20. So my coworker showed me how to homebrew, started home brewing in my apartment when I was 20, got into craft beer, turned 21, and then just went crazy with it. Moved back to Texas after a year out there, and then homebrewed. Not to get into like brewing specifics, but basically there's like extract versions of home brewing where you just kind of pour a can of extract into the pot and boil it and stuff. And then there's like what is like traditional real full scale brewing, which is called all grain. So you take the actual grains and you mash them, and then you extract the sugar, and then you boil it and all that stuff.
Okay.
Started home brewing.
Kind of like reminds me of fermentation with making sourdough bread. You can use the starter yeast, or you can grow your own, sort of similar in this space.
Yeah, I mean, all fermentation stuff is kind of has overlap because it's the same process, the same concept. So, started home brewing, and then got a job at or was going to Black Star Co-op, which is closed now, but started going there when I moved back to Austin in 2011. And then got friendly with the staff and got a job front of house there. Quickly got a position in the brewery part-time, worked my way up to like the assistant brewer, and then the head brewer left and I took over in 2015, and then was the head brewer there until 2022. And then I left and started my own brewery.
Okay. So is that the brewmaster? Is that what it's called?
Yeah,
Brewmaster?
well, so there's people use that term a lot. I don't really prefer it just because it just sounds pompous or whatever, but there's a technical credential called a master brewer, which you go to school for. You basically I didn't ever do that, but was self-taught and then trained on site for all my professional brewing stuff. But yeah.
So there is a true master of brewing. It's a degree credential.
Yeah. There's an actual master brewers guild and association,
which is probably just like everything else where kind of better to apprentice anyways, and I kind of hope we return to apprenticeships.
Yeah, it's
more and more.
Yeah, with everything. And culinary school was my first real lesson at this, where I was pretty much not interested in college really ever. I just didn't have an interest to go to college. I always wanted to go and do something, but I went to culinary school and I was excited about it. But as soon as I got in the industry, I was like, oh yeah, everything that you did in culinary school is great. You got some technical skills and a lot of academic information, but you got to flip that fucking burger, or you got to put the bread in the or whatever the thing is. You have to do the work now. So I think just getting into an industry, or really just working on something, just doing it, is the best way to learn.
For sure.
Yeah.
I didn't realize culinary school was is it more hands-on than college, or is it?
It's a big practical basically. There's some more academic stuff, but very little. It's mostly hey, you're watching a teacher talk about the theory of what you're making, and then they do a demo and they make the thing, and then you go and make the thing. So it's a very quick feedback loop of hey, sourdough is a good example. It's hey, let's talk about what bread is and like what are the components of bread and talk about proportions and different styles of bread. And we're going to build a yeast starter first. And then you make the sourdough and then you understand what's going on. But yeah,
Okay.
yeah, less like classroom study time and more
Hands-on.
hands-on make stuff.
That's
Yeah.
good to hear. I always imagined culinary school would be more hands-on than college or
Yeah.
something. Both bourguignon.
A little French.
Okay, that's how you got into brewing, and then that door closed, but you're not too sad about it. Like you're ready to
No.
move on.
Yeah. So so let me take you through my mental state.
Yeah.
Got into beer, absolutely 100% passionate and in love with beer for the, up until I basically closed my brewery.
Yeah.
But I was very much into beer for the beer. I was very much like a beer nerd, talk at length about all of the parts of the brewing process, all of the the ingredients, the techniques, stuff like that. Then I opened my brewery in actually I opened the brewery before I left Black Star, but it was part-time. So I opened a tiny brewery that was very niche and specific. I wanted this beer to exist in Texas, and it didn't in the form that I wanted it to. So it was a very like experiential type of tap room where it was all Czech lagers. So I had 3, maybe 4 beers. They were all traditional Czech-style beers, and they were poured and served in the way that is traditional in the Czech Republic, which is very uncommon in the States. Now it is much more common, but was very uncommon at the time.
Okay.
And so...
And was that Tangle Foot?
Tangle Foot, yeah.
Okay.
Tangle Foot Brewing opened in my family's barbecue restaurant, and it was just a tiny little tap room in the back, and I built out a bar. I was super proud of that. But the goal was to display this beer the way that I felt it should be and wasn't getting served in the States.
Okay.
After I started, about 6 months after I started the business, I was like, oh, I'm kind of interested in like actually pursuing business and like growing this and making money. And the product could be the avenue to that, like learning all this stuff. Long story short, over the next 2.5 years, I just realized that it had nothing to do with beer. Like I wasn't in the business of making great beer. I was in the business in that particular brewery. I was in the business of hospitality. And I just really didn't care about doing that as a business.
That makes sense. That reminds me of like Starbucks. Originally, Starbucks, I'm sure they made good coffee, but I think they sold the experience and the ambiance.
Yeah, and it's true. Actually, I don't know if you watch a lot of Alex Hormozzi's content, but I love his stuff. It's like very tactical.
I've seen something he's really good.
Yeah. But one of the things that he says is like figuring out what business you're in is like, that's a huge lever. Once you realize what business you're in, then you can take the actions and the steps to growing that particular business. So I thought I was in the beer business, the business of making great beer. I was really in that particular tap room only style brewery. I was in the hospitality and entertainment business where I needed to get people to come in and have a good time and want to come back. And they happened to drink beer when they were there. It wasn't, I thought they were going to come because I made the best beer in the world.
Yeah.
And that just wasn't true. And so I found that to be true with a lot of small businesses where it's like, in restaurants, same thing. Like, hey, I'm in the restaurant business, or I'm in the business of making food. Like your ex-wife is like, I love making food. I want to do that as a profession. But you're not in the business of making food. You're in the business of hospitality and getting people to return.
Yeah.
So that was a learning lesson. It wasn't so much the hospitality, the interacting with people. I love talking to people. I love that part of it. It was just, I had become more educated about business over those few years. And I realized I'm essentially running, for all intents and purposes, what a restaurant is. And I have zero desire to be in the restaurant industry. It's just a tough business. Anything where you have to get people to come somewhere and spend money and then hope that try to get them back. It's just a tough business that I didn't want to be in. So I realized that and also was learning that there are plenty of opportunities to not be in that type of business, plenty of opportunities that have businesses that have better margins and aren't like in a physical location. Like we were talking about earlier, pursuing businesses and like online was something I had never even considered or thought about. So it was all this realization over a 1.5 to 2 year period where I was like, not only am I in a place that I don't want to be, like my brewery was in Temple and I didn't live in Temple and I didn't want to drive an hour both ways every single day for the rest of my life. I just didn't want to do that. And the prospect of moving it to Austin was like, I'm not going to go get $1 million of investment to open a brewery that isn't going to make money. Like it just, all of it kind of hit me. And then I finally just made the decision to close it.
Yeah.
And then try to pursue something else, which is where I'm at now.
But you do still love talking to people about stuff you know.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And you are, I mean, your hooks on your videos, I've noticed, like you have strategy in mind. Even with the pickleball thing.
Yeah.
Like immediate hook right at the beginning. It's got, it captured my attention. So you like talking to people about stuff you're knowledgeable about. You don't want to do community stuff. Like you don't want to build the cult tribe.
Yeah, I've always, like I was saying, I'm very independent. Like I'm a lone wolf most of the time. Like I have a really strong set of friends that I love hanging out with all the time, and that I like being social and going to parties and events and stuff. That's all great. But like, I just, for whatever reason, the idea of like, join this group so that we can all do this thing together. I'm just like, I'll do it on my own time when I want. Like, I very much like.
You don't do CrossFit? Mm-mm. No way. I've never fucking gone to a single CrossFit for the exact reason you're describing.
Yeah, we're similar. Like you're a part of a culture and a thing. Yeah. I think most people love being a part of a community.
Yeah.
They love that. Like they love having other people that have shared interests and they can all talk about it. And I felt that way in the beer industry for a long time, but I also have very little patience for things that I don't care about.
Yeah.
And so if I if I was hanging out with you or hanging out with somebody else and we're talking about business and I'm stoked and I'm interested in everything you're saying, and then you start talking about whatever, I don't even know, lamps, something that I don't care about, I just like zone out. I just don't care. And I don't feel that passionately about pretty much anything else in my life like I did with beer for a long time. So that's kind of the main crux of why I don't. I don't participate in a lot of communal things, and I don't feel like I want to lead a community necessarily.
Is this your subtle way of telling me you drink beer alone now?
Oh man, I've always drank beer alone. I love drinking beer alone. But no, like just hanging out and having a good time is.
What's in that cup, dude?
Yeah, you don't want to nothing anymore. But also drinking a shit ton of coffee, more coffee than I probably should. But yeah.
Okay, so then with Tangle Foot, you found out that it's more of a hospitality gig. Not to go backwards, but I am curious if there are breweries where people actually value the quality of the beer.
Yeah, and I was an example. Like my beer was some of the best version of that beer in the state. And people did come there almost to a bad degree. The amount of people that came specifically just for the beer, because that's all I had was just this beer and served in this specific way. And that was a testament to what I wanted to do. But that doesn't make a good business. I think all of it comes back to like, does this make a good business? I
see.
And my vision for that particular thing, what I wanted to do, did not make a good business. In order to make it a good business, I would have had to make it, let's get food in here. Let's get bands and bingo on the weekdays and weekend, and let's get things to attract. And that part of it just never appealed to me. And I did that for years at Black Star because I did more than just brew beer there. But so that part of it, I was like, once I realized that, I was like, oh, there's no sense in pursuing that. Like if my goal has now shifted to, I want to make money, I want financial stability, running this business is not the best option for me to achieve.
And are you also saying it's not that scalable? Like that particular model of hospitality like that?
It's tough. It's not that you can't achieve your goals in the beer industry or with this particular model. It's just my goals happen to be, I want to have a profitable business that has good net profit and, is scalable or whatever. It's not to say that it's not possible, but it's very difficult in this industry, especially on the production side, like the actual making of the beer. It's very, very challenging to be remotely profitable making and selling beer into distribution and like getting it to retail stores and stuff. Yeah.
I always imagined that the distribution side, like once that was unlocked, that you were just like made of money in beer. No,
the opposite.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like beer. Let me break down the two business models. There is the manufacturing business model, which is, the making beer, canning it, kegging it, and getting it out to bars and restaurants. And then
Right.
there's the tap room or on-site hospitality business model. So the business model we've just been talking about with Tanglefoot was the hospitality style. The key there is you have to get people to come in, stay, bring their friends, and return and buy the products that you offer. The manufacturing side of the beer industry is try to buy everything as cheap as you can in large quantities, manufacture the beer to where it is a good to great product, and then the actual business is the marketing and the logistics of getting that beer to the consumer and getting the consumer on the other end to buy that. And that requires so much capital up front to build these big manufacturing facilities, and then you sell a product that has relatively low gross margin to then get to a place that marks it up and gets to the ultimate consumer at a price point that you think is appropriate, and spending however many dollars on marketing to get that person to convert and try your beer and hopefully continue to drink that beer. It's just, there's very little profit on a small to medium scale in that side of the business.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm already thinking of people that would find this valuable.
Good.
So it's nice to hear you process it. If you're talking to somebody in CPG in general, do you think that model you just named is kind of true everywhere? That there's that front of something like a tap room for beer where you're hospitality focused, and then there's this cost segment that's just about cost control and volume.
Do I think that that's true for all CPG stuff?
Yeah, the majority.
Not necessarily. And the big difference is for a lot of CPG brands, like let's take a food brand, right? Because I'm interested in starting a CPG food brand. Most of the smaller entries into the market, they're either doing it on a small scale at like a commissary kitchen, and they're doing it, kind of bootstrapping it and growing it slowly. Yeah. Or if they're doing a lot of product and they're launching with a lot of product, they'll go with a co-manufacturer. And those both have costs, but you don't have to build out a $2 million manufacturing facility that is regulated by the state and the national government for alcohol production. You don't have to staff it with people that are brewing the beer and packaging, and it's a manufacturing facility. And so those are the main differences where it's just a very capital intense business. Yeah. And so it's really hard to make that money back from an investment perspective. Like maybe you'll get, let's 5 to 10% net profit margin. But if you put in $2 million and you're netting $500,000, or what would that be? $200,000, let's say optimally. Yeah. Is that worth it? Like, it's a lot of capital. If your goal is to make money, is that worth it? Is that the best use of that capital? And my argument is absolutely not. Having said all that, that is not the main goal for most people in the beer industry. It was, like myself, the passion of the beer, the community, getting, making beer that's interesting that people want to drink. So all of this is caveated with you do you. My goals changed to where I was more interested in making money, and that was not the vehicle that I wanted to pursue. Yeah. And the gross margins, for context, if anybody's interested in like the specifics, roughly speaking, every brewery is different, but let's say a small to medium scale production facility is making it's usually sold in cases. So like, but I'm going to speak on as like a 6-pack, like the one unit that you would buy as a consumer. A 6-pack roughly, let's say, costs $3 to $4 to manufacture. Okay. Like everything all in, let's just say it costs that. If you don't self-distribute, which is basically running another business within your business, the logistics of getting the beer out, and you sell to a distributor, and you want that 6-pack to sell at retail for $12, you're selling that 6-pack to the distributor for like $6. So your margin. And they're marking it up 30%. Yeah. And then the retailer buys it and they're marking it up another, 10 to 30%, whatever it is. And so it's your gross margin on that is less than 50%. And that's just like not good. Yeah. It's really tough to run a business like that that's so cash constrained, because you can't put money into growth without taking on more investment and debt. So
let's back up though and just properly introduce it for a second.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
So like we transition away from the beer. So you decided to move on from brewing. What's new now? What are you interested in now?
So decided to move on from brewing, closed my brewery down without like a very clear idea, and struggle with coming up with an idea for years.
Typical
Closed
for
it,
us.
started working. I also do brewery consulting part-time as well.
Okay.
So I do have some revenue or income coming in from that. And then I was also doing a job working with an installer for a few months. And so I had money coming in to where I could like not be super stressed about money. And then started going down this fitness rabbit hole. I been an athlete in high school and my entire life through
What
high
kind of athlete
school.
were you in high school?
The best.
What
No, I'm
sport?
just, yeah, no, I played football, ran track, and
Okay.
then did anything you can imagine outside of like organized sport. Like I played basketball, played racquetball, played whatever, any physical activity. I was down to. I'm super competitive too.
What did you play in football?
Corner and
Corner.
receiver early, and then corner as I was like in high school. I was pretty
Cool.
quick.
Right on.
Yeah.
We should play basketball sometime.
Yeah, I know. I forgot to tell. I played a little bit today, but we should go. Saw your basketballs out there. So, anyways, point to telling that story was I didn't lift weight the day I graduated high school. Really, the day that football ended, I was like, I'm not lifting weights anymore. I'm over this shit. I did it for too long, and I never really cared to do it. Didn't care about like looking buff or anything in my entire life, even though I was in good shape.
Yeah.
Whatever. But
You
then,
were buff. You just didn't care.
I just didn't care. Then I turned 35 I turned 35 this year. Last year, turned 34 and was like, whatever, not a big deal. And for whatever reason, just was like, man, I want to get back into better shape. I want to stop drinking as much. And I'd like to put on some muscle. I felt kind of weak. So I started working out in the gym, started counting calories and tracking macros, and found it difficult to hit my protein goals daily because that's a common challenge with people that are getting into fitness. So I started supplementing with protein shakes and protein bars and loved it. I love those, and it really helped me hit my protein goals, but quickly was like, man, I don't really want to eat like a cookies and cream protein bar right now. I don't really want to drink a chocolate milk protein shake. I often just wanted like an extra piece of chicken, an extra piece of meat, like protein. And what didn't really meal prep or anything, but then I was like, well, maybe I'll just pursue making a protein bar. And I had this idea of the chicken in the back of my head, but I was like, oh, maybe I'll do a protein bar. That'd be interesting. And I was like, no, I can't really make the protein the way I want it on a home scale. And then I was like, well, why don't I just make pieces of chicken? Like, that's all I want is I want extra chicken at Chipotle. I want an extra slice of, or extra burger patty or whatever it is. So I started making these little 5-ounce chicken breast packages that I vacuum seal and cook at my house. And I eat them, like every day. It's like
you were
an extra
vacuum sealing all on your own.
Yeah,
Just
I mean,
to
like
be
a food
efficient
saver.
and productive.
Yeah, I mean, just like a food saver, the little vacuum is, yeah. So just
Pretty legit though. Like not many people vacuum seal their home production process.
Yeah, well, I did it more as like a kind of testing out the product. And
Okay,
so
you were already thinking product.
I was already thinking product,
Okay.
yeah. And so then I was like, because the ultimate product that I want to achieve is a shelf-stable 5-ounce piece of lean chicken breast, seasoned, of course, it's going to taste good, that is able to remain at room temperature.
Okay.
So in order to do that, I knew it was possible because the Army makes MREs. They make these pouches that last for years. And so I dug into that, trying to figure out what that process was. Found out it was a process called retorting. So it's just a process of cooking in a specific container at high temperature, high pressure. And so like canned tuna is processed this way. There's a number of different products that are processed this way.
You were talking about the product you're getting into now.
Yeah. So the idea was to make a 5-ounce piece of lean chicken breast seasoned so that it's tasty, that is shelf stable and grab and go, so that instead of subsidizing your protein needs with like a protein shake or a bar, you can have real animal protein. And a lot of people bring up like, yeah, well, beef jerky or whatever like that. But I don't want to eat like 5 ounces of beef jerky necessarily, like lots of salt, lots of preservatives, and there's better options out there. But I just want a piece of chicken breast. That's all that I want, and I want it to be accessible. So I would have to do it in a manufacturing facility that can do this process called retort processing. So it's high temp, high pressure in a package that kills all the bacteria, makes it shelf stable. I mean, shit, I can get a little deep on this topic. So when I decided last October to get back into shape, it was really out of like desperation to see results from me actually doing work and putting like effort into something. And I was really struggling with this idea that like I talk a big game about like, oh, all I do is like consume business content. I know all these business facts and things like that, but like I haven't proven it. I haven't done anything that's noteworthy in business. And so I was feeling pretty down about that and wanted to make a change. And the only thing that I could think of at the time was like, I want to change my appearance. I want to change my body. And then I started doing it and like rapidly changed. Like it like you're saying, if you are that type or whatever, then if you start working out and you eat correctly, you shred fat and you start putting on muscle. And so I saw that.
Yeah.
And yeah, it gave me a lot of like, enthusiasm to now apply the same ideology to business and like just put work in to something and hopefully see like results from it.
Dude, yeah. I get that. I did this thing like January 2024. I was feeling some similar vibes as that. And I decided I want to do something and commit to something every day. I want to do it every day. It has to be working out.
Yep.
And I want to see results. So I bought the little handlebars that you can do push-ups on the ground. And I decided to start with 9 push-ups. And then the next day add 3 and add 3 per day until I got to 99. And I'm convinced that there is a mental discipline reward we get. Like there's a lot of dopamine involved in that process. But I think as males, we also get testosterone boosts from doing what we said we'd do.
Yeah.
There's something about it. Like,
yeah, it's not overwhelming, but if you were to do that for the next 3 years or whatever, I don't know what the math works out to be, but let's say at the end of year 3, you're doing 1,000 push-ups. And that seems ridiculous and unattainable for somebody that's never done a push-up, but is absolutely possible.
It's insane.
Yeah. It's cool.
Okay, so now you got the chicken vision, which is just chicken, but with an S first.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then essentially you're interested in this from the vulnerable story of like where it came from. That you wanted to see some changes, you wanted to see results from your efforts and stuff. Now you're aiming to build this chicken thing in the next, how long ideally?
I mean, ideally, I would love to have it ready in a month, but that's not feasible. The way that it's sort of looking currently is that I'm going to have to buy a machine and manufacture it myself. So in all of the research that I've done and all the companies that I've reached out to, it seems like nobody wants to touch this because of the scale. It's small scale, and these companies that do this type of processing, they do millions of units for Star-Kissed tuna a year or whatever. Yeah. And so that's one hurdle, and then the other hurdle is the industry that does this processing is built for like pumping fluids or pastes into the bags or the pouches that get retorted. And so having a firm piece of chicken dosed into a bag is not something they're set up for. So I'm just getting like no's left and right. And so after talking, actually, a entrepreneur buddy of mine who owned a business here in Austin for years, I was talking to him and he was just getting creative and was like, well, are there smaller machines? I'm like, yeah, there's smaller machines, but like, it's not really the machine that's the hurdle. It's the like processing in a USDA, FDA approved facility that gets checked daily. That's like, has all the, the legal shit taken care of on the food production side. Cause it is a dangerous product to produce. If you're not doing it correctly, you could kill people. And so, but he was like, well, could you piggyback off of a company that already has those facilities? And I was like, well, I don't know. And he was like, well, I have a friend that actually had this type of facility. And he said that they had these regular checks. They were FDA and USDA approved and all this stuff. And just kind of planted the seed in my mind of like, yeah, that is possible. Like, why am I not exploring this option? So I did some research on some smaller retort machines. And it looks like I could get a small unit for $10,000 to $30,000. And if I found a partner that was willing to have it be in their facility and utilize their licensing and stuff like that, it is theoretically possible that I could produce this on my own. Again, I'm a little gun shy with I really don't want to like invest a bunch of money or take on debt or whatever to get this thing started. So that's a problem.
So, but that's like, there's a potential way forward. Now it's like a capital question.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dude, David has some similar stuff in common.
Yeah.
He was at Ghost Line Kitchen down in South Austin, which charges a pretty penny because they have all that stuff.
Yeah.
He just moved out of that location to the setup you're describing. some friends allowed him to insert his gear into like the back area of their place. And I think he moved in Monday, like cool. 2 days ago.
Nice.
I think the machinery and equipment stuff is a little bit different. He was able to like limp in a lower capital outlay. Yeah. But there are machines he wants to get for that next level that are $30,000. And he would really like to make those purchases.
Sure.
His thing that's been difficult, I think, is really the sales and marketing.
Yeah.
Getting traction. He'd like to be direct to customer, but there's also like a recurring revenue model with that wholesale to local independent grocers and stuff like that I think works better for him.
Yeah, it's tough, man. So I think I had this thought. I meant to say it earlier, but another little nugget of perspective on this particular business model. So I spent the last 2 years just brainstorming business ideas, and I always started a conversation about like make the business model a good business model first before anything else. Like think of a product, think of an idea, solve a problem or whatever. But if the business model doesn't make sense, don't even consider it for a moment. And so like that's what happened with beer, where I was like, there's no scenario outside of like the hospitality version of the beer industry where I can make the money I want to make. So don't even consider anything beer related. So that was kind of the basis.
Yeah.
And so when I was thinking about this food product, it was, I think that there's a demand for it, or there's a market for it. And I think that I can sell this product, which is unproven, but I feel pretty confident about that. But then the other aspect is, can I make this product at a price point where I have enough gross margin where it makes sense and it makes a healthy business. Yeah. And so throughout this whole contacting manufacturers and pricing things, all this stuff, if a manufacturer got back to me and said, oh yeah, it'll be $2.50 to $3 per unit, the idea would be dead. I would not even consider it, because there wouldn't be, because I'd like to sell it like a $5 or $6 price point. Anything less than 50% gross margin is just not, for whatever reason, that's like my rule right now. Yeah. Not interested in it.
Yeah.
With the making it myself, outside of the capital up front for the machinery, the gross margin is possible. Like I can have a pretty solid gross margin on the product if I have a facility to manufacture it on the scale that I'm able to sell. So
it's exciting.
Yeah.
It's kind of within arm's reach.
Kind of, yeah.
So if you had an investor that was like, I'll give you 30 grand.
Honestly, I would go to family and friends before. Like I have a lot of family and friends that have like, they were literally like trying to throw money at me when I was running Tangle Foot. And I'm like, guys, this is a bad business. This is not a good business. I won't take your money.
Yeah.
So before I would do any sort of like
you want to validate
real
it.
Investment. Yeah, I would want to validate it. But I would also like, it's another one of those mental, these limiting beliefs that I have that I'm slowly chipping away at as I stay in this entrepreneur space. But like, I would be open to that in the future. Like forever, I was like, I'm not going to give away any percent of my why would I give away any percent of my company? That's ridiculous.
Right.
But if I can give away 10% of my company to have a partner that provides equity, but also provides like some connections or some business aptitude that I definitely don't have. Yeah. Hell yeah. Who gives a shit? I'd rather have a smaller slice of a giant pie than a huge whole pie to myself where I make no money.
Yeah. One bite of a watermelon versus have a whole grape to yourself. I like pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered.
That's a good one.
I also think that if you do have that identity as like, I'm a founder, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a serial entrepreneur, giving up slices is less of a big deal.
Yeah.
You still want to value it, right? There's something called a convertible note.
Yeah.
That if you haven't looked into, I would suggest for that structure.
Yeah.
Unless it's friends and family and they're like, just give me a percent or whatever.
Yeah.
But convertible notes work great because you can collect more than one per year. There's no closing date. It's just, here's the promissory note on this date. So if you raise 30 and then you got like into that facility and you really needed another 15 for some other growth capital
just cost
thing,
of goods or something. Yeah.
You could get another 15 and it's not selling equity on that time frame. So it's based on a future event, you know? Anyways, I like finance.
I do too. I really like numbers, and I just want, like, I want to be at a point where that conversation matters. Like currently, because I'm like, right now I'm like, I got to make this shit. I got to figure out a way to get a prototype or something. Like, I want that to be a conversation that I have to have. Like, yeah, let me figure out a way to get the financing for this where I'm not giving up too much equity, but I'm I'm
Yeah.
getting enough capital to where I have, enough cogs in the pipeline to produce the next, like I
Yeah.
would love to have those problems, but currently
Well,
I'm
you
like,
definitely will need some money for marketing.
yeah. Yeah. Well, and yes, one of my biggest weaknesses with my brewery was I was like just not interested in spending money on marketing, and for good reason. I was like, there again, just like I wasn't making money, so like there was no money to spend.
Yeah.
But yeah, like especially for an e-commerce business, a D2C e-commerce business, like yeah, you have to spend like 10-20%
Yeah.
of the revenue to get customers. It's just the nature of the business. But something that I never learned in business with when I was running Black Star. The biggest benefit of working there was like we were running the business, the group of people, so we were in the day to day. But I didn't learn that there. Like traditional small business restaurant bullshit where it's like, yeah, the food is the marketing. It's got to be the best. It's like, no, dude, put a fucking billboard up or like,
Yeah.
But
we talked about that a little bit on the couch too, just talking before we came in here. If you've got great product, you don't need all the marketing, but to get started, I mean, you got to get the word out somehow.
If you have a great product, marketing is your best friend, at least in what I think I know about business. If you have a great product, yeah, word of mouth could blow it up. But if you threw money as gasoline on the fire of getting that product into people's hands, and then that can also compound with word of mouth, it's like the no-brainer. Conversely, if you have a shitty product and you spend a bunch of money on marketing, you're going to let a lot of people know that your product sucks. So
right.
it's kind of, you got to have a good product to start with. So
yeah,
hopefully I can prove that I have a good product and then move forward with some of this stuff.
Yeah, I'm stoked. I think it's going to be great. I have one, substantial question, not business related or anything, but have you considered making it fajita strips?
Like as far as the flavor or
flavor, or is that helpful? Does it make it easier to store if it's like cooked like that?
It wouldn't make it easier to store, like maybe packaging, like putting it in a box might be. There's obviously a bunch of different options to like in the future if I wanted to have different SKUs, because that is something where like
Could
what
be
I've
one flavor.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What I've learned from doing these home test batches and giving them to people, they're like, my girlfriend puts it on her salads every day, or she'll make a sandwich,
nice.
and that's the protein. So it's like, it doesn't need to be a single piece of chicken breast. It could be taco meat. It could be fajita strips. It could be it could be beef bourguignon. It could be just pieces of meat. Boeuf bourguignon. But the initial concept is I want that chicken breast. I want that to be the first product for sure.
Chicken. Well, I got a couple questions for me. I'm on mine then.
Sure.
Unless you have anything else, we can go shoot for a minute if you want.
Yeah, we can keep shooting.
One of my questions, income efficiency. I read that phrase 15 years ago, and it's, how much time does this really take for me?
Yeah.
And then what's the efficiency of that income like? It's pretty implicit. But my question is, when you decided to switch gears and you decided the business model didn't really work with what you were doing, do you think about a certain number of hours that you want to work per week and a certain amount of income that you want to make? When you think about a long-term dream place to land, you might still keep working, but what is financial stability or independence in your mind?
Well, there's a couple of answers there. And so currently financial stability would be like $5,000 a month, like 5 to 10 grand a month. 10 grand a month would be like more money than I've ever made. And would be a really comfortable place to be. My aspirations, I would love to either build a business that cash flows, $500,000 to $1 million a year, or I could exit for like $10 million would be obviously amazing, right? Like these are all round numbers. So it's like, think more specific. But the other answer to the question is the like, how much time do I want to work on it?
The time.
I have two parts of my brain. There's one part of my brain that's like, I want to fucking grind. I just want to work. I want to have purpose and work on something that I care about. So I don't give a shit if it's 100 hours a week. I don't care. I just want to work and prove that I can make money and do all this stuff. The other part of me has been pretty much unemployed. I'm working a little bit here and there for the last 6 months. And I fucking play golf and disc golf twice a week, and I play pickleball. Like I would love to work, 4 hours a day.
Yeah.
So I kind of go back and forth. If I could make the amount of money that I want to make, like if I could make $500,000 a year and work 4 hours a day, obviously I'd take that. But if I saw a bigger vision of like, honestly, even if I made like $200,000 a year, I would be content with that probably. But if I could work 10 times as much, but have a much larger exit or higher cash flow and have an asset that I feel really like passionate about building with like a mission, a problem I'm solving, then that would be fulfilling too.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool.
But I go back and forth. What about you?
For me, I think it's similar in some ways. If I had the opportunity though to like really dive in and push, say it was like 80, 90-hour week. If it was meaningful, I could see myself maybe considering it. But for me, if I could make, X dollars, say, let's use the 10,000 a month. And for me, that paid for all my living expenses, a little bit of savings, taxes and stuff. And I knew I could do that by putting in 4 hours a day versus I knew with certainty if I put in 10 hours a day to 15 hours a day, if you include weekends or not, and then I could get that income up to like 50,000 a month, I probably wouldn't do it.
You wouldn't do it?
No, I think I've resolved that at this point. Like
Really?
I've grown, not huge stuff, but I've grown some size stuff twice. And the extra effort to get the higher dollar amount beyond like 10,000 a month.
Yeah.
I've decided I don't really care too much about it.
Interesting.
So I'm more interested in lifestyle business than maximum growth.
Yeah.
Now I get it. I don't have any qualms with it. A little experience, like one time I had sold part of an apartment complex and I had 50 grand sitting in the bank. And I did Europe for 90 days with 3 other friends. And outside of the study abroad course, which reminds me of the culinary thing that you talked about, we did 2 meals per evening plus drink 2 bottles of wine.
Yeah.
And like cooked them, and it was just the most fun thing ever.
Yeah.
That course cost $4,800. So if you take that out, I spent less than $10,000 to travel Europe for 90 days.
To do exactly what you want to do. Yeah.
And I felt like I spared nothing.
Yeah.
I felt like I spared no luxury. Now, flash forward to, I'm sitting with my ex-wife, and we're getting a dinner date, and I'm like, you never had this experience I had. I traveled for 90 days. It was the best moment of my life. I want you to have something like this.
Yeah.
You can decide everything we do, everywhere we go, and I got 50,000. I'll let you spend 40,000 of it on any travel you want to do. And ultimately, the choice she made, which I don't judge, but it taught me a lot about myself, was we spent $45,000 in 3.5 weeks in France. We ate at Alain Ducasse restaurants.
It's like Michelin starred.
Yeah,
places,
all Michelin starred restaurants, the best hotels. We rented a Mercedes-Benz and like drove it around the country.
That's cool.
It was very fun. Like, no doubt, I loved the trip, but I wouldn't do it again, personally.
Yeah.
Same thing as what we were talking about before for me.
Yeah. I
wouldn't put the extra effort in to go make the extra 50 grand a month. I would play more disc golf.
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
I struggle with this too, because I have a lot of like, I don't know if like financial insecurity is the right word, but I have a lot of anxiety around not preparing myself for like my future and having enough money and like taking care of my parents if they get old and need me to take care of them. And so I have a lot of that in the back of my mind. And I also know that, shit's only going to get more expensive.
True.
And I'd like to live a nice life.
Yeah.
The second half of my life, like also all the stuff that we talked about earlier with my journey from like culinary school to the beer industry and stuff, like my life was a fucking party for 12 years. Like I lived the exact dream life that I wanted to live.
Dude, that's
and it was
really cool.
fucking awesome until it was like, but now like
what made it feel different? Like did it feel empty eventually?
Not empty, but like, I mean, I've drank more beer than 99% of the people on the earth. And I've gone out every night of like for at least a solid 6 years, just hanging out with people, going to beer events, going to bars, going to restaurants, stuff like that. And I don't know. I like the idea of having a bone to gnaw on where I'm working on something and the reward happens to be financial. It's not necessarily like the money that is the driver. It's the doing the things that get the money that would be fulfilling, and also having the money at the end of it, it will be nice and be secure and all that stuff. So
I love it.
I do like the lifestyle part of it though.
Yeah.
I
Dude,
do
that was
enjoy
good for your beer stuff. Okay, do you know what eudaimonia is? Eudaimonia is a Greek word, and then there's euphoria.
Yeah.
And I feel like one thing I'm learning is that they're both definitions of happiness. Eudaimonia is effortful, though.
Yeah.
It's building a good life according to you.
Yeah.
It can still be hedonistic. It can still be Epicurean. It doesn't matter. But it has to be, you have to have a sense of the daemon, which is the divine. It has to feel divine, whatever you're doing. Versus like phosphorus, like euphoria, phosphorus is like a quick burnout flame.
Yeah.
And you can do it 6 nights a week, but it's still phosphorus. It's still like dopamine chase.
Yeah.
Versus eudaimonia. And I don't know about you, I just fucking love words. That's why I'm doing this, to share it with you.
Yeah.
Because when someone told me what eudaimonia was, it's changed my whole life just to know the word.
That's cool.
Because when I measure what I want to do, it's that. I want to be doing eudaimonic activities, whatever they happen to be.
Yeah. Yeah. And another part of that is I'm never happier. Like, I love going out and drinking beer and eating food and all the things, all the hedonistic pleasures. I like all that stuff. But I am never more satisfied and like content as a person than when I am head down, cooking, building something, making something, fixing something. I just lose all sense of time. The same is true for like playing sports and stuff like that. But when I have a goal and I'm working actively towards it, that's my favorite place. So I want that to be business. And maybe in a couple of years, if I do start a business and it goes well, and I don't know, maybe I look up and I'm like, well, this isn't actually the thing that I want to be doing in my life. Maybe I can, just go travel the world and go hike and backpack for the next 10 years. But I would like to have, some cash in the bank to where that's an option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
How old are you?
37.
37. So what did you always have an entrepreneur bent, or did you, work in a career for a while?
Good question. I did find pretty early on that I wanted to retire early. Sort of the same conversation we're having now. And I think the reason I wanted to retire early is I just didn't know myself that well yet. Not that I know myself perfectly now.
Yeah.
But to me, the goal was just retire by 30. So I read a book. I got a little bit of advice from older, wiser men, and I decided to pursue real estate because it's like a stable asset that produces passive income. It's not that I love real estate.
Yeah.
Now, I've gained a lot of confidence in that department, so getting to do stuff with it or talk about it feels pretty fulfilling for me.
Yeah.
But it's not like I chose real estate because I like it. It's just, it was the quickest way I could think of to stably build to retirement. And then a couple personal life crises messed that whole thing up. And I did the Wanda Media online business thing. And then AI came in and yanked that rug out. So that's me pretty much here today.
Yeah.
I like what we're doing right now a lot.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. It feels like play.
Yeah.
Right? Like you just get to hang out and
So I can see myself if kind of like you, like building a personal brand, I can see myself doing this forever, especially if the world considers it valuable somehow. So yeah, I do like building things too, similar to you. I generally, losing track of time. I think that's a really good sign. There's a Carl Jung quote. He said, if you can recall the things that you did when you were a child that made you feel as if there was no time, you found a secret to your meaning in life as an adult. And so I've tried to find that. I mean, I don't know what mine is exactly, but I do feel like we're playing right now.
Yeah.
Just having fun.
I have not heard that quote, but understand it and feel that in my life. And unfortunately, and again, this could just be a limiting belief, but the things that I have pursued those things. I've done the things that I wanted that brought me that, that joy and passion, and have not proven to be financially successful endeavors. And one of the things, like, I'm also an artist, like, at heart. I love making things and creating things, and like, YouTube and all this is just an extension of that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no other scenario outside, building things, making things, creating things. It just is like the thing that drives me. It's like my lifeblood. But trying to find, like, if I had pursued art from high school, when like my whole family was like, just do art, do art, do art. But me being like, yeah, there's no money in art. There's no whatever. That's not a career. If I had, maybe I'd be sitting here today and like be successful.
Isn't that crazy?
As an artist. Yeah. But I also, I find I'm interested in other things too. So.
And you're here now.
Yeah.
And like, I totally get that. I have several memories where I'm like, man, if I just kept doing that, there's no way I wouldn't be insanely successful at this point.
Yeah. I think I give up on stuff
it's
too.
Tough, though.
Yeah. If I don't see results quickly, I kind of tend to lose interest. Because the first real artistic thing, or not art, it's artistic, but the first content thing I ever did was I did a YouTube channel, and have never felt more inspired and more like, I'm just doing this shit for the love of it, and hopefully it's like it's enough to do that. And for an entire week, I did these like these goofy beer review videos on my YouTube channel that I'd started, where I just played this like idiot craft beer character, and it was like so much fun. And I had, my friends in the beer industry watch it, and each video had like 20 views or whatever. And I just every single day for an entire week put these videos out. And had any of those videos like gone viral or gotten any more traction than the 50 views that they ended up getting, I'd probably be like a full-time YouTuber.
Really?
Yeah.
And so none of those hit at that time?
No, and they weren't, not good quality videos or anything like that. But I didn't do for, the intent wasn't to make like good quality videos. The intent was to do something like, I'm very comedic at heart. I love comedy. I like being funny. Yeah. And it was a comedic YouTube artistic expression that I did, and it was like the most fulfilling thing I did. Yeah. And I was like, man, I wish I could do this. Yeah. And then just didn't continue to do it.
I think that's you literally just found a gold nugget though.
Yeah.
Not that you didn't already know it, but like that energy right there. Yes, they didn't hit the home run. Have any of them gotten more views since?
No, they've just been sitting there for 10 years.
But say the production level increased, like the production quality level increased a little bit, and it got put in front of the right people, and people laughed, and it grew. That might be your sweet spot.
Could be, yeah. I mean,
integrating your artistry and your humor into what you're doing right now.
Well, which is kind of why I've now started doing content again. Mm-hmm. Now I kind of just said, fuck it. I don't really care what, like, I was so concerned with all of my subscribers, love you subscribers, on the Tangle Foot channel. I was so worried. I was like, dude, it's not, they don't care about this other stuff. And to be fair, they don't. Like, they probably don't like this other stuff that I'm going to do, but I'm going to do it because I need to do it. I need to start putting I just need this to be my creative outlet and start making content and making videos, because it does bring me a lot of joy. And like I told you, I spent like 4 hours on this minute-long TikTok that I posted today, and it's got 50 views. Like, so far. But still, like, doing it and making that video, I just needed to make that shit. I had to do it. And if I can prove to myself that is a financially stable thing to do, that's awesome. I want that to be true. Yeah. But I think I'm going to continue to do it, even though it's like, even if it doesn't end up being that, I'm going to just continue to put content out. So.
Dude, I love it. I feel personally a lot of similar vibes with you and some similar resolve, even though we're in a little bit different chairs. And thank you for coming on the show to talk, man. This has been
this whole production. Look at this, like, dude.
This is good.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.
Dude.
Good shit.
I think there's a lot of good stuff in there.
I'd be down to do this regularly too.
All right, shit.